You think of yourself as civilized, rational, cooperative, far removed from violence. But what if that's the result of something, or someone, by design? Here's what the science has uncovered, and it's deeply fascinating. The skeletal structure, facial architecture, behavioral traits of modern humans. Research into skeletal morphology suggests these may have shifted over the past 50,000 to 80,000 years. And the direction of that change bears a striking resemblance to the process by which humans domesticated dogs. Let's think about what this means. What if humans have been domesticating themselves all along? Could the civilization we take such pride in be nothing more than the product of being tamed? Today, we venture into the self-domestication hypothesis, a scientific inquiry that shakes the very foundation of what it means to be human. By the time this is over, everything you believe about what makes us human may be up for reconsideration. Chapter 1. The Strange Resemblance Between Dogs and Humans. Let's begin with a single observation. Dogs diverged from the wolf lineage. But dogs are not wolves. Research into when and where domestication began is ongoing, but after a long coevolutionary process, both form and behavior changed dramatically. Faces became rounder, ears drooped, eyes grew larger. Aggression dissolved, and cooperation with humans emerged. It has been observed that selection for tameness can be accompanied by common tendencies in ear shape, coat, and facial morphology. Researchers discuss this as the domestication syndrome, though its universality and causation remain under debate. So why do similar patterns of change appear to show up in humans? Soviet geneticist Dmitry Belyayev launched a landmark experiment in the late 1950s. From foxes raised on farms, he selected and bred based on a single criterion: only those that showed the least fear or aggression toward humans. What emerged across generations was extraordinary. The foxes developed rounder faces, floppy ears, spotted coats, and curled tails. They grew affectionate toward humans, expressing emotion through vocalizations. Morphological and physiological changes frequently accompanied the selection for tameness. The causation is not simple, but it demonstrated that behavioral selection can be linked to other traits. Of course, not every animal or human undergoes identical changes. Yet the pattern of shared tendencies is impossible to ignore. One leading hypothesis for unlocking this mystery centers on neural crest cells. These are cells that emerge in the early stages of embryonic development, involved in forming the face, adrenal glands, skin pigmentation, and a remarkable range of other structures. It has been proposed that in domesticated animals, the development of these neural crest cells becomes more subdued, though the mechanisms may not reduce to a single cause. And then, more recently, came a discovery worth pausing on. In 2019, researchers reported that regulatory regions of the BAZ1B gene, linked to a genetic disorder associated with hypersociability, show distinctive changes in modern human DNA. The hypothesis that changes in neural crest cell function may be involved in self-domestication has entered the discussion at the genetic level. Regional variation exists, but morphological changes such as the reduction of brow ridges and shortening and flattening of the face have been reported since the late Pleistocene. Some research suggests a possible reduction in cranial capacity as well, though the causes and universality of this remain contested. No definitive conclusions can be drawn. Reduced masticatory load due to dietary changes and a web of other factors may also be intertwined with these shifts. In other words, human skeletal structure itself may have been reshaped by forces we are only beginning to understand. And what matters is the direction of that change. Not toward aggression, but toward cooperation. But who or what guided humanity in that direction? The answer turns out to be both surprisingly simple and profoundly deep. In the next chapter, let's examine the mechanism behind it. Chapter 2: Society as the Domesticator. The conversation around self-domestication has a long history, but in his 2019 book, The Goodness Paradox, Harvard anthropologist Richard Wrangham sharpened one crucial argument. Why has reactive aggression in humans become so remarkably suppressed? Reactive aggression is the impulsive urge to respond to provocation or threat with immediate violence. The answer may be hidden within one of our oldest social institutions. Could it be that society itself has been suppressing violent individuals all along? Studies of existing hunter-gatherer societies reveal something deeply compelling. In these groups, tyrannical leaders and extremely aggressive individuals tend to be checked by the collective. Loss of reputation, ridicule, coalition building, banishment. Such social sanctions have been documented, with rare cases escalating to lethal outcomes, though the frequency and form vary considerably across societies. This may not have been intentional, but the result may have been that calmer, more cooperative individuals survived and passed on their traits. Society itself may have functioned as a selective pressure on the human species. One piece of indirect evidence supporting this hypothesis lies in morphological change. Shifts in skeletal morphology and sexual dimorphism indicators suggest that traits associated with androgens, particularly testosterone, may have changed over the long arc of human history. Though, of course, ancient blood concentrations cannot be directly measured. These remain indirect inferences drawn from morphology. The disappearance of prominent brow ridges, the flattening of the face, these overlap with regions known to be shaped by androgenic influence. And the BAZ1B gene changes mentioned earlier may also be influencing both facial formation and social behavior through neural crest cells, or so the argument goes. In other words, our faces themselves may be a kind of record, a record of something that has been quietly changing. And then there's another phenomenon worth considering. It's called neoteny, the process by which traits observed in the juveniles of ancestors are retained into adulthood. Rounded heads, larger eyes, flatter faces. Neotenous morphological changes have been observed in domesticated animals, and their resemblance to shifts in human morphology has sparked ongoing debate. Though the overlap is partial and multiple mechanisms are plausible. Consider this for a moment. We may be a species that remains, forever, a little bit like children. And what if that very childlikeness is what made cooperation, learning, and play possible? If domestication-like changes gave rise not to weakness, but to humanity's greatest strengths, what does that say about us? Let's now look at the full picture of what self-domestication may have produced. Civilization, language, cooperation, and everything we call being human. Perhaps all of it is the fruit of being tamed. Let's step back and take in the wider meaning. Chapter 3, is civilization a cage or a pair of wings? If the self-domestication hypothesis holds, what does civilization actually mean? The cities, language, art, and science we take such pride in, none of it could have emerged without cooperation. And cooperation could not have been sustained without the suppression of reactive aggression. So what exactly did humanity gain by domesticating itself? Around 40,000 years ago, Homo sapiens and Neanderthals coexisted across Europe. Neanderthals, too, show evidence of family-level cooperation, burial practices, and symbolic behavior. They were social beings. But sapiens built networks of cooperation that extended to strangers, spanning vast geographic scales. That difference in scale may have been decisive. The disappearance of Neanderthals is thought to have resulted from a complex interplay of environmental change, demographic dynamics, and interbreeding. But many researchers point to large-scale social networks and the cumulative accumulation of culture as factors that may have conferred survival advantages. And none of that is possible without the suppression of reactive aggression and the capacity to trust strangers. The greatest product of self-domestication may be cumulative culture. When an individual dies, knowledge remains. The next generation receives it, builds on it, and carries it forward. This is only possible because we can trust strangers and cooperate with them. But here's where I want to pause and think carefully. Not every change in skull and facial structure can be fully explained by self-domestication. Reduced masticatory load from dietary shifts, demographic changes, cultural evolution, multiple forces were likely operating simultaneously. The self-domestication hypothesis offers a powerful lens, but it is not a universal theory that resolves everything in one stroke. And yet, the question remains. What we call being human, compassion, empathy, cooperation, creativity. Are these the products of a noble spirit, or the traces left behind as society suppressed our capacity for violence? But here's what I keep wondering. Perhaps these don't need to be in opposition. Perhaps being tamed is precisely what allowed us to fly. If the cage gave birth to wings, what does that mean for everything we think we are? And another question surfaces alongside it. If we could, through gene editing or technology, intentionally reshape human traits, what should we choose to become? Science brings us this far. But beyond this point, we ourselves must keep asking. Now, let's bring together what this exploration has revealed. Chapter 4. Truths we must reconsider. Today, we've ventured deep into the self-domestication hypothesis. From the familiar fact of dog domestication, through Belyaev's experiment, the neural crest cell hypothesis, and all the way to the origins of civilization. What we took for granted as being human may overlap with a process of social selection playing out across vast stretches of time. This is not a simple answer. It is a doorway into a series of deeper questions. The hypothesis is still mid-debate, but the questions themselves deepen the mystery of what we are. Let me share 3 insights drawn from today's exploration. First, gentleness may be the result of selection. The compassion and cooperativeness we experience as virtues may not be purely the products of the spirit. Indirect evidence raises the possibility that as society suppressed reactive individuals over generations, skeletal form and behavior shifted alongside. Though this remains a hypothesis, with multiple factors interwoven. Second, society shaped who we are. We design our environments, and we are designed by them. Unintentional reproductive selection may have been influencing human traits across tens of thousands of years. Domestication without a domesticator. That is the core of the self-domestication hypothesis. Third, civilization is the accumulation of cooperation. Language, trust, cumulative culture. These may only have been possible once reactive aggression was sufficiently suppressed. The civilization we celebrate may be a flower that bloomed from the process of being tamed. And that doesn't diminish its beauty, not at all. These 3 insights converge on a single question. How much of human nature is innate, and how much is the product of society? That boundary is far more blurred than most of us assume. What this exploration has left me with is a profound sense of humility. If the very qualities we take pride in as human may be the result of unintended selection, what does that say about who we are? And yet, at the same time, I find myself in quiet awe at the fact that a species capable of building this much cooperation over this much time exists at all, here, in this universe. That feels less like coincidence and more like a strange, almost impossible miracle. I want to put a question to you. If you discovered that your own gentleness and empathy might be the product of social selection, would that change your sense of morality? Or would it deepen it? And if we could, through gene editing or AI, intentionally reshape human traits, what should we preserve and what should we change? Science does not yet have answers to these questions, but perhaps the act of asking them is what has made us human all along. The exploration never ends, and that's exactly what makes it worth pursuing. After this video ends, when you return to daily life, try holding this awareness just a little. When you argue with someone, when you forgive someone, when you reach out a hand to a stranger, behind those actions may lie tens of thousands of years of social accumulation. Your gentleness may not belong to you alone. It may be a trace of humanity's long journey. Knowing that, perhaps we can be a little kinder to ourselves. And perhaps we can hold a little more reverence for the gentleness we see in others. Because that kindness may not be accidental. It may be something history itself has been slowly built. Share your insights in the comments below. Your questions are the fuel that drives this channel forward. Thank you for staying with this intellectual journey all the way to the end. The self-domestication hypothesis illuminates the mystery of human existence from a completely new angle. At Mindshift, we explore the great themes of cosmos, consciousness, life, and civilization through both science and philosophy. Subscribe to this channel, and you can join journeys like this one every time. If today's exploration shifted even a little of how you see the world, hit like. Your response becomes the fuel for the next exploration. Until next time.